Hello everyone, my name is Kurazar, and welcome back to the Vintage Story Guide. We are back in the world on a blustery, windy night, and I have been busy between episodes gathering things we're going to need for this episode, including a whole bunch of logs. But when I went out to go looking for logs, I found bears instead. So I killed myself a bear. And actually, I found not one bear, but 3 bears. Every time I went to go and try to chop down some trees, a bear would come running out of the forest over to the northwest. And, yep, 3 times, 3 bears. It was quite the ordeal. But now we actually have some spare pelts, this one's still processing, to make more bear armor should our current set break. We also had a temporal storm, and this one was a heavy temporal storm, which is weird given that it was right after our first medium temporal storm. And the rating of the storm determines 2 main things. One is how glitchy it is, and 2 is how much it drains your temporal stability and therefore how difficult the drifters are that spawn. From our first double-headed drifter, I managed to nab another temporal gear. So now we have 2 of the 3 that we need to reactivate the translocator that we found in the last episode. And that brings us to today's episode. What are we doing today? Well, as promised, we are going to enter the Copper Age. What's that? You want me to stay in the Stone Age forever? Well, I guess I could. Yeah, you know what? Let's just make some more stone tools and we will be on our way. Yeah, why not? Okay, I'm kidding. I'm just joshing you. Just pulling your chain. Don't you worry. Today we are indeed getting into the Copper Age. The Copper Age begins, much like many other things in Vintage Story, not with getting copper, but with clay forming. We're going to need some clay molds. And the reason is that when you first get into making your first copper tools and things, you aren't going to be smithing them on an anvil or forging them on an anvil. You will be casting them, whereby it will be melting metal in a crucible until it is liquid, and then pouring that metal into a clay mold. And then once it cools, we can get our tool head or weapon head out and use it. I tend to call this part of the Copper Age the early Copper Age, and then once you get your first anvil, I call that sort of the main or full Copper Age. And the reason is that not every tool can be made via casting. Only some of the ones with sort of fewer moving parts and less detail can be cast, and the rest of them require forging. So, to that end, we are going to get into some clay forming today. We're going to start with 4 crucibles. These are what you will be heating your metals in. And then I'm going to make several pickaxe molds. We have some options here. Let's see. Let's do 2 pickaxe molds. And then we'll do an axe mold. We'll do a falx blade mold. We'll do a hammer mold. In fact, I might do 2 hammer molds. I'm going to skip over the hell hammer mold because this is not something you would use for copper, because it has to be made with at least a bronze head. I will make a clay hoe mold for later. And then I'll make a prospecting pick mold, a shovel mold, and I'll make a few lamellae molds. These are for probably my least favorite kind of armor. And I think I'm just going to make 5, and we'll just have to do several different runs of them. Now, some of these will be tools for later. We will not use all of these today. We're going to focus mostly on the pickaxes and the hammers for the express purpose of getting more copper. So, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to get down and dirty with this clay, and we are going to do some serious clay forming. Okay. Boy, I am hungry after all that. Let's have a bit of a snack. Onion soup. I have big old barrels full of onions downstairs. I've been eating French onion soup for weeks now. Somebody send help. Alright, let's put away our clay and pick up all of our brand new molds. Oh, and crucibles. And now we're going to go outside and see if we can fire these without getting fired upon. I'm going to do the crucibles and the more important things like hammers and pickaxes and the falx, because we only have 8 slots for firing clay items, so I don't want to get too crazy with the things that we are making here. You know the drill. And now, we wait. No, I'm serious this time. I don't have any prepared molds for us to use right now, so we have to wait. However, while that is firing, there are plenty of other things for us to work on in preparation for our first smelting and casting of metal. And that's because we need fuel. Now we have here plenty of fuel. We have some firewood, and we have some peat. And you'll see, if you look at them, they burn at 700 degrees Celsius and 900 degrees Celsius respectively. But if you look at our copper, it has a smelting temperature of 1084 degrees Celsius. So neither of these two is going to get hot enough to actually smelt this. Now, we did find a few pieces of black coal in some loot vessels in some ruins, and this does burn at 1200 degrees Celsius for 84 seconds, which is nice, but we only have 7. So while this would get us started, it won't last us very long at all, because typically you're going to use about 1 coal, or maybe 80 to 90% of 1 coal per ingot smelted. And when I say ingot, each of these nuggets is 5 units. So it takes 20 of these to smelt enough for 1 ingot of copper or any other metal, because it requires 100 units for an ingot. So we need some more fuel. And where should we get that from? Well, in Vintage Story, the best way to get some early game fuel before we can actually mine it out of the ground is to cut down copious numbers of trees, maybe not those, and turn their logs into firewood, and from firewood into charcoal. And the place to burn your wood into charcoal is, of course, when the pigs scare you and you poop your pants hard enough to make charcoal, is in a charcoal pit. And I was thinking that we could build our first charcoal pit right under here. We have a nice wide open space. I think it should fit. Now, a charcoal pit is a fairly simple structure. You're going to want to build a generally cuboid shape, although you can do a rectangular prism as well if you want. It should be at least probably 2 by 2 by 2, and in the early game you might want to max out at maybe 3 by 3 by 3, but I will generally end up eventually going to a 5 by 5 by 5 design. However, that is not the largest you can go. A charcoal pit will successfully convert fuel into charcoal in as large as an 11 by 11 by 11 charcoal pit. But that would require many times more wood than we have here and in all of these, and probably all of the wood in our house, in order to actually fill that up and burn it. So I think what I'm going to do here is, just to save a little bit more space, I'm going to sort of put our charcoal pit partway under our pit kiln area here. Being careful not to remove this rammed earth. These are the blocks directly supporting our actual pit kilns. So we can go basically as high as this here. And I guess I'll just dig this out after having put it in the first place. Now, charcoal pits are very hot, so of course you need to build them out of non-flammable materials. Although unlike pit kilns, they won't light things around them, unless you fill them incorrectly and they actually catch fire, in which case they can. But if you follow my directions, you shouldn't have that issue ever. So as far as material choice goes, we are limited at this point basically to things like dirt and cobblestone, and technically also glass. You can use glass for charcoal pits, and I might actually use a little bit of glass in this one just so we can see inside a little bit. Now, I do recommend that you make it out of something you're not going to accidentally shovel. And the reason is that when you are digging up your charcoal, you're going to want to use a shovel to do it. It's very, very slow to do it by hand. So if you build a charcoal pit out of something that is very easy and quick to shovel, such as, say, light mud brick, then there's a pretty good chance that while you are trying to dig out your charcoal, you'll accidentally dig out some of your pit as well. And it isn't catastrophic, it's just annoying. So I'm going to recommend something like rammed earth. It takes a little while to actually shovel. I mean, not super long, but yeah, there you have it. Or once you get enough stone, you can certainly make it out of some cobblestone. Just no wood, no grass. You know the deal. Alright, all done. That only took 1 day, 3 shovels, and 2 bowls of soup to complete. But here we are. We now have a, actually hollow, if I dig this out of here, we have a hollow room. It is 5 by 5 by 5. Now I'm going larger than what I would recommend starting out with. And what we'll do to compensate is that I'll just sort of build a smaller box inside here to serve as a sort of vessel for our charcoal pit. Now I'm going to maybe dig ourselves a staircase. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. This is the center area. So we're going to dig this down to the bottom. And we'll dig a staircase like this. And there we go. So this right here will not have a rammed earth wall. We will actually just block this up with some regular dirt for ease of entry and exit. And I also want to come over here and get some glass. There we go. We have a few more pieces of clear quartz. I want to make just a single little window so that we can see inside there and make sure things are burning properly even when it is all sealed up. So I think for this, I'm just going to put this maybe right here. And we'll pop that right there. So now we need to get our wood out of here. I think I'm going to start mostly with the extra birch we have here. So the birch and the pine. And we also need some axes. So I guess I'm going to make some more room here somewhere. And we need to go and make a ton of firewood. We're going to place it down starting in like this corner over here. And a quick trip to get the other axe. And there we go. So I'm going to make probably a 2 by 3 by 3 pile over here. We'll just see how many I can actually pile up. Alright, we now have a 3 by 3 by 3 stack of firewood here. I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to make this a smaller charcoal pit here by just enclosing this with some dirt. There we go. And then I'm going to cover up the top here. You do not want any air blocks anywhere in your charcoal pit. I do need to be able to get into here. And then, once you have that just about ready, you're going to take a piece of grass and put it somewhere. It should be on a pile of logs. Now, your pit doesn't have to actually be perfectly square or rectangular. It can deal with odd shapes, but it is just easier to handle a more regular shape. And so you could have this sort of hanging off the edge here on an extra block of firewood, but I recommend just putting it roughly center, just in an easy enough place to get to. Then you need 1 more log's worth of firewood to build this out. And you'll see at the top it says charcoal pit unlit. So let's fix that. We're going to go ahead and light it. Once it catches, it'll say it has a number of minutes before the pile ignites. Make sure it's not exposed to air. We need to cover this up and then that. So now this whole thing has no access to air. And what should happen is in 1 in-game minute since you lit it, it should start to burn the charcoal. Now, we won't be able to see the charcoal process itself through the glass directly here, but what will happen is, and you'll see in a moment, all of these blocks here, all the blocks right on top of the charcoal, will start smoking. Now, normally that would be a great indicator, but since I put this 2 blocks deep underground here, we won't be able to see this above on the surface. And that's okay. That's why I put the window here. Aha, and there we go. As you can see, there is now black smoke rising from here. And what you shouldn't hear is you should not hear the crackle of a wood fire. If you start hearing like crackling wood fire sounds, then it means you probably have an air block in there somewhere, and you want to rip it open and pull out as much firewood as you can and try to start the process over. But we can come back then in about a day. I want to say it takes about 20 hours to complete, and then we should have a healthy chunk of charcoal. And I am going to leave a torch here to keep things from spawning. Done. Okay, so we have the clay forming, we have the molds going on, we have the charcoal pit burning. What about the copper itself? Well, we have already gathered some copper right here. Like I said, we have about 5 ingots worth, just a shade more, which we got through... Hey, didn't even say it yet. Which we got through panning down here in our basement, and that is a legitimate, very slow but surefire way of acquiring your first copper. But more than likely, as you've been maybe running around the world and exploring, you've probably come across some copper bits out in the world. I think I'm going to check those out in the morning when we can see what we're doing. So I'll see all of you then. Okay, folks, let's get out here. Luckily, we have some copper very close to home. Hopefully not surrounded by bad guys either. But yes, right over here, we found some copper bits. Now, you will notice something unique about the copper bits is that they are not covered in snow. That is one way in which winter kind of helps you highlight certain things. Most crops are still kind of a greenish color, although I think we've harvested all the ones we can from over here. But crops will stand out still in the sort of wintry grass, and any ore bits on the ground, not just copper, but other ores can be on the ground as well, they will also not get a snow covering. So you can just grab them off the ground. I've done that, and we got 2 nuggets of copper. Not a lot, really not a lot. But what this nugget indicates is that there is guaranteed a block of copper within 10 blocks of the surface straight down from here, directly straight down. So we're going to come back here at some point and dig this up once we have our first pickaxe. So I'm going to mark this directly on that block, because when we have this marker here, it might be inaccurate, and if you're just kind of not really paying attention to where you put the marker, it might be close but not exact. I find the map markers useful for getting to the area, and a little dirt pillar useful for digging straight down from that to find the copper. Now there should be, and there often will be, more than one copper block. This will be a vein of copper down there. But the number of copper bits on the surface is usually indicative of about how big the vein is. We only had one piece here, although I think in the past there was a second piece that I grabbed by accident. So this might be like a small to medium deposit, and we'll come back and get that later. But for now, until you have your first pickaxe, those are the 2 main ways of getting copper. If you'll recall, we also got some copper in the form of this medium chunk of native copper right here, or all 8 of them. And this is a great way to get copper, but we can't actually access the copper in here because we require a hammer to break it and turn it into these nuggets we have here. So this is pretty useless to us until, again, we get our first copper tools, specifically the hammer. So at this point, we're kind of at the mercy of time as we wait for our work here to complete, which should happen around evening tonight. So I think in the meantime, what I want to do is I want to decorate here, but I want to use some blocks that we found last episode while exploring, but haven't actually acquired yet. So let's go ransack a couple of those ruins we found, 2 of them on the surface, and I think the one in yon cave in there. I do just see it went to rift activity high, which is not great. But let's go ransack those, and maybe we'll ransack them both today and tomorrow, because it is a slow process with just hands. But let's go get some materials for decorating our soon-to-be forge area. Alright, with some soup cooking on our stove, we are back. It's time to pick up at least some of these. Definitely some. We'll see about all of them. And for now, I'm going to put these molds just sort of down here anywhere on the floor. Alright, last mold that looks like it should have stacked but just didn't decide to. And I am putting them under here for a very specific reason. That reason is you do not want to have hot metal in these and expose them to water. Whether that's from rain, or from snow, or from a water block that exploded nearby, or even from the watering can. You can quickly and easily shatter your mold and then ruin the workpiece. The workpiece's materials can be recovered with a chisel, but we won't have one of those yet, and it's just a pain, so don't do it. And then, since we have the time, and it should be about ready, let's go check on this guy over here. Aha, there we go. So now that there is no more black smoke rising from this, we know that it is done. Now, if we had filled this entirely, and we could see through this glass pane to actually see the charcoal progress here, we would see them converting, or having converted from the fire logs into charcoal. It is quite obvious, and you'll see once we get into it. And I'm going to need a second shovel for this, aren't I? Alright, second shovel made. Let's tear this open. And you will see that, hey, our pile has shrunk. What's the deal with that, Corazar? Well, when you make charcoal, just like in real life, you are kind of burning off some of the material in the wood and converting it into something a little more condensed. There are gases being released that are, going through the soil, and that's what you see coming out of the smoke at the top. So you're going to get back seemingly less charcoal than wood you put in, and that would be accurate because that's how it works in real life too. The actual sort of formula is that I believe it's for every full stack of wood that gets converted into a random number between 5 and 8 pieces of charcoal, with each of these layers here representing 2 layers of charcoal. Like I said, you want to use a shovel because the hands take forever to pick up. 1, 2. You'll be here for a very long time. Now, a flint shovel isn't stupendously fast, but it is much faster than hands. Literally at least twice as fast for this. So I'm going to dig all of this up, and I'll see all of you when we are done clearing this out. Okay, folks. Charcoaling complete. We got 2 and almost 1/2 stacks of charcoal from a 3x3x3 charcoal pit. For the early parts of the game, that should be more than enough. Far more than enough for today, at least. And so now that we have our crucible, we have our charcoal, we have our copper, and over here we have our molds, it is time for us to smelt and cast our first copper tools. This is a big moment because this represents a huge leap in technology, although the one that we're going to get in the next episode with the anvil will be even bigger in some ways. Sorry, I'm just savoring the moment. Alright, enough savoring. Let's get out of here. We need some charcoal. Let's grab some of this. Got a crucible. Let's get all but 4 of this copper. You always want to smelt it, like I said, in groups of 20, or rather 100 units. So each of these is 5 units, so 20 is 100. We have here 5 ingots worth of copper, or 500 units. Now, we will be making a fire pit down there later once we get to decorating this place. But for now, I'm going to just shuffle this around here, and we're going to plop this in here. Just like with the cooking pot, it will bring up a 4-slot input area. and you can put your material in. It does not matter. No matter what anybody says, if someone tells you that smelting it like this is faster, they are wrong. You can tell them they are wrong and that Kurazar said so. We have tested this before, and it is the exact same time. In fact, Tyrone himself confirmed that it does not actually change the speed at which you smelt things. Now, in the very early game, it may also be worth your time to preheat your fire with a bit of peat or firewood, or maybe even both, like 2 firewood and 2 peat. In the early game, that can be nice for conserving your fuel, since if you didn't have enough wood for a 3x3x3 charcoal pit, and you went for maybe a 2x2x2 or even smaller, which are possible, then you might only have a dozen or 2 pieces of charcoal to work with. And so for that purpose, you might want to preheat this. It'll probably only save you maybe 1 piece of charcoal in the end, but when you're dealing with, single digits, 1 might be the straw that broke the camel's back. So once this gets up to about 900 degrees, we are going to swap this out for charcoal. You don't want to let this start to drop. When your last brick of peat disappears is when you want to put this in, and while this flame is going down, it will continue rising. I'm probably going to take out this last piece here. I'll put in 5. It's usually about 1 piece of charcoal per ingot's worth of smelting. It's more like somewhere between 80 and 95% of a charcoal per unit. So once you get into larger numbers of copper or other things you're smelting, this will actually go down. You'll probably use maybe 16 pieces of charcoal for doing 20 units of copper or so. And you'll see once this temperature here finally gets to above 1084, then the green arrow will start very slowly, and I mean slowly, crawling across here. And there we go. It is now above that. And there we go. It is crawling, baby. This crucible is going to be like 1300 degrees Celsius when we take it off, because that's what charcoal burns at in the fire pit. And so our little delicate fingers, which did a long time ago used to be made of asbestos, they will now get burned, and you will have a not fun time with it. So we need to make some tongs. Now, I find it kind of silly that you can't make tongs with string. It does require rope, which we have right here. I'm just going to use one of these. And there we go, wooden tongs. In previous versions, they did not have durability because there were only wooden tongs. Now there are different tiers of tongs, including metal ones. In fact, most of them are metal. And I don't think that picking up the crucible actually costs durability. I'm pretty sure it's picking up hot metal, but I guess we'll find out here in a second. And with the tongs in hand, this is actually already almost done. We have maybe another part of a minute. And it looks like I was right on the money as far as number of charcoal we needed for this operation. So if we had started with the charcoal, it probably would have required an extra piece. So we saved 1 whole piece of charcoal by sacrificing 3 pieces of heat. So here we go. It is 1251 degrees Celsius. It is now in our tongs. And our tongs didn't take damage. Yes, I didn't think so. I think it's just the metal ingots when we're actually handling them. I'm going to do 1 pickaxe for sure, which, by the way, you just right-click and this will pour in. You can do a partial pour, but it's kind of weird dealing with partial amounts of molten metal left, so just don't do it. I'm going to do 1 hammer. I'm going to do the prospecting pick. I'm going to do the shovel. And I'm going to do the falx. Okay. We wait. Oh, I mean it this time too. Yeah, just go away and come back in a minute. But actually, while we wait, this might be the opportune time to start working on the little design I had in mind here. So first I'm going to tear down this. I'm going to just move it a little bit. Oh, I have these tongs here. You will find that your tongs will travel with you wherever you go, because they like to hide out in your offhand slot where you don't notice them very much. And yeah, they'll go places with you. I'm just going to move this one block out to there. I'm also going to move this little vessel here. I'm going to put this... I'm going to put it right here for now. That might not be its final resting spot, but maybe I'll just also move this up. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Maybe I'll do something like that, and then I'll do... Oh, here we go. Let's do it this way. Put one here. And we'll do... Maybe, I guess, just like that. Yeah, why not? I will need to also move this torch and the holder, because I'm going to be building something right in front of this. I think I'll actually just put it maybe on this side instead. Although I did need it for lighting up this out here. Kept getting bow horn popping in our house right here. So maybe we'll leave it right there. And what I want to do here is I want to just build like a little, like a round opening. So I'm thinking like maybe a 3-block wide walkway here. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so probably right in here, we'd have our 3-block wide walkway. So what we can do is maybe come in here with some stairs here like that, I want to say. Let's make a few more stair blocks with our dwindling supply of granite, even though I did just get more. That should be enough. So we're going to do something like that. Maybe I'll make it like this, so it's sort of 1 block wide. No, that feels a little cramped. I don't like that too much. Like so, and we'll also drop one right down here like that. There we are. And then we're going to bring in probably some of the cobblestone, but also some of the ashlar. And we're going to kind of fill in around it here. There we go. We'll put the stairs here as well, like that. And more stairs there. Tuck some cobblestone in that corner. Won't be as visible. Tuck some up there. And then maybe some ashlar across here. And we'll use a slab upside down right in the center here. Oh, that is, yep. Perfect stunning decoration for a forge. You bet. It's a little offset only because we have the root jutting out here, but I kind of like the chaos of the roots. I still might actually bring this one out to make a little more space to work in here. But so far, I'm liking it. Maybe I'll actually push this one back after all. I like it, but it is a little cramped in here. Well, it should be. I wouldn't mind it being a little less cramped. Yeah, I'm going to finish this up, and I'll see you all when it's done. Alright, folks, it is the next morning, and I have completed our little nook over here, our forging nook. Now, are you ready to see it? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bam! And check it out. I did decide to widen this just a little bit here, and push this back by a block, and I think the space is better for it. I was able to return the torch to this side of the wall, where we'll keep the creepy crawlies out of here. And I might still need to put something over here to keep things from spawning in this corner, but I think the torch light, it might technically snake up and around and get that covered too. But we do have more candles anyway, so not a big deal. And then I came in here with some of the slate cobblestone for the floor. I figured since this was our forging area, this would be like covered in soot and maybe just blackened from being scorched and so on. And we've trampled the dirt here, so put some packed dirt down as well. So it's just a little less clean, a little more like really heavy work area going on here. Now I did leave some space for some more storage, so as we get more storage vessels and things to put down here to hold all of our ore and our supplies and things, that is where that will go. I do think we need to make a tool rack. Let's go ahead and do that. You know what? Let's put it like right there above that vessel. And we're going to put our tongs in here. And this is where our hammers will also reside. And we're going to want to make some more tool racks soon for all of these puppies, especially once we make a whole bunch of them. But these are nice and cold. They are hardened copper cold, says at the very top there. Go ahead and pick all these up. And now we have several tool heads. All we need are the actual shafts, which we make with just sticks. So a copper shovel, a copper hammer, a copper pickaxe, a copper prospecting pick, and a copper falx. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We are in business now, baby. We are in the Copper Age. This is pretty darn exciting stuff. We now have some new tools that will do, in some cases, the same thing as before. We have a shovel that, digs. We have a pickaxe, which digs but stone. We have a sword that, well, attacks kind of like a spear, but it has much better durability. And rather than 2.8 damage per hit, it deals 3.8. It is also, as you'll see, a specialized weapon for fighting the unnatural. Falxes have a special property when fighting drifters and other rust monsters, in that they have a chance to pull loot from the monsters every time you hit them. And I don't think that chance affects their final loot, although if they drop enough things, then I think the game considers them harvested. But generally speaking, when I'm using a falx, I tend to find that I get way more of everything. Rusty gears, temporal gears, flax. The only thing I don't get are the arrows from the bowthorn, because that only spawns when they are actually harvested manually. But yes, we are in business now. In fact, I'm going to make a second tool rack. I'm going to put this one, I think, right here by our door. I'm going to put the prospecting pick away for now. We don't need that at the moment. I will keep the shovel with me. And I'm going to put the hammer back over here for now. Because we are going to go and we are going to empty our inventory. And then we are going to go and mine us some copper from the ground for the first time. I will bring this with me and just make some more room here. All right, folks, we are out and about now. We have our pillar that I marked here earlier. And some folks will prefer to make spiral staircases or switchback or zigzags down. I really do recommend digging straight down from the very block where you found some of your little nuggets there. And we'll do just that. So dig straight down till we find stone. Oh, and it is literally right here. No stone digging needed. So yes, this is copper ore. Let me get our lantern out there, or our lamp out there. And there we go. This is what copper ore looks like in slate. Now, if you are in a couple certain areas, or types of areas, you will not find this kind of copper ore. If you are in a bauxite area, which is the very orange stone, you will not find any copper ore, in fact, on the surface. And if you're in a limestone-dominated area, you might find copper ore, but it will be malachite, and it's not technically considered a surface ore by the game, although it does act that way. But yes, as you can see, we are now able to mine through stone. It is not the fastest process in the world, but hey, it'll get us where we need to go. I'm going to go ahead and mine all this out. This is poor quality. You can see at the very top there. And that means that we're only going to get a little bit of copper out of each of these. Now, surface copper, assuming it is not in limestone and therefore malachite, is always medium or poor quality. You will not find rich or bountiful, even in stone types that can support it on the surface. So just be aware that you will always be sort of suboptimally mining when you're getting copper from the surface here. And there, oh, one more right here. Okay, cool. There we go. That's probably it. We can maybe check this corner here. Yeah, I think we're good. All right. So yes, that was one vein of copper. And let's see, we got 21 nuggets, or 21 chunks of poor copper, which is 15 units of copper each. So for every, let's see, 15, 30, 60, 90, for every roughly 7, that is 1 ingot of copper. So we got basically 3 ingots and change of copper out of that one deposit. Now this was a fairly small deposit, and you can find much larger deposits, even for surface ores, than this one. I'm going to go ahead and delete this from my waypoints. It is no longer needed. Goodbye. And let's go see what we can get from these two down here. And we have, looks like 2 nuggets here. This is probably another small-ish deposit. Go ahead and pick these up. And we'll go ahead and just dig. Now, unlike the other block game, it is generally relatively safe to dig straight down. It's not always perfectly safe, but for these surface ores, it really should be, because you're unlikely to have to fall far to find them, since they will always spawn within 10 blocks of the surface of the world. Oh my, this is an interestingly shaped one. Now, the ores will tend to spawn in roughly disc-shaped shapes. They will be a little randomized, and they will also somewhat follow the contours of the land. So if you are mining something on a hillside, and you only get a little bit, and you're like, hey, where's the rest of it? Well, you might need to look farther up the hillside, or farther down the hillside. And I'm seeing here that this is medium quality copper, which means we will get 4 nuggets out of it rather than just 3. Not a huge difference, but still not bad. And when you're mining these veins, you want to avoid, unless you really need the stone right now, you kind of want to avoid mining the stone that you don't need. It can be handy later, but especially in the early game when you only have like 1 pickaxe and you're kind of struggling to keep ahead of the copper that you're using, you're burning through your pickaxes, then, you know, don't go branch mining like crazy. This doesn't work like that. It's always good to kind of check a few corners, especially the extremes here. Sometimes you'll uncover that the vein continues on a little bit, and sometimes you'll just find that there's like 1 or 2 pieces of ore still stuck in the wall somewhere. So it looks like it is not the case here. We got 41 chunks of copper as opposed to 21, so twice as much almost. And for this, every 5 of these is 1 ingot. So we got just over 8 ingots worth of copper. Not too shabby in my book. And let's go and mine out this last one here. And then I'm going to book it home and we'll see what we got. We have 2 pieces here. All right. Alright folks, we are home, and let's take a look at our spoils. See, we had 41 before, so from that last deposit we got 21 more medium chunks of native copper. Now, I want to hammer this all down using the hammer, but I also need some more storage space, so let's go find a spare vessel if I have one. I don't. I am out of storage space. I don't hardly believe it. Let's just marry the oak and the pine for now. And we'll just put you here in this corner. I'm going to use the hammer in my inventory crafting grid to smash all of these down into nuggets. Starting with the 8 chunks that we got from that ruin. And we have 62 chunks of medium and 21 chunks of poor. Bump that over there. So let's also split these up. So that is 6 ingots, 6 ingots, and 5.5. So we have enough for, what, 17 ingots. Not too shabby. Now there is one last thing I want to do before we call it quits today. And that is that I want to go and mine out that rich vein of copper ore we found while spelunking last episode. So I'm going to let the time pass until morning, and once it is nice and bright out, we're going to go and delve underground once more and see if we can get a bigger haul of copper. And the reason is we're going to need it for next episode when we make our anvil. An anvil alone requires 9 ingots or 900 units of copper. So, I'll see all of you in the morning, and we will go and see how much more copper we can bring back by digging farther underground. Alright, my intrepid fellow seraphs. It is morning. We are almost at the cave. It is still medium rift activity, but that's okay. It's not the worst thing. It's what we went out in last time. So I think we should be okay in finding the cave. Here we go. So right down here. And let's see. Ah, right. We had this silliness going on, didn't we? This is where we found that copper. I am going to just keep him from bothering us a little bit here. Gonna do a bit of this. That won't keep drifters from falling on our heads, but it'll keep that guy from shooting at us, so it's a win in my book. I'm gonna go ahead and get started mining all this here, and we'll see how far we get. And I think you'll find that generally speaking, underground, not only do you find veins of richer ore, but the veins themselves can tend to be larger. They aren't always huge. They can still be much larger than you expect. This one is already several times the size of any of the previous ones. Look at that. Oh my. And there is some scary music, which you might recognize from sort of sounding kind of like temporal storms, though not quite. That's because we've been down here long enough and our stability is low enough. The game is warning us that things are going to get spooky soon, but we are almost done here, so I'm not too worried about that. When you hear the spooky sound, that happens at about 64%, 65% stability. You still have about 20% to go before you start hearing and seeing the worst things. The things you don't really want to see. Alright. That is everything. Let's get out of here. I'll meet all of you at home, and we will go over our spoils. Just going to block that off so if we come here in the future, things don't bother us quite so much. Alright. I'll see you there. Alright, folks. We are home, safe and sound. And that sound specifically is the pigs squealing at us. Let's take a look at our spoils. Wow. A stack and almost a third of a stack of rich copper. So for these have 25 units or 5 nuggets each. Every 4 of these is 1 ingot. We also got 1 rich crystallized chunk. These are basically double the size of their sort of normal counterparts here. And you can break them down, but I usually like to keep them and just display them. Like that. I think they're kind of fun to show off and be like, hey, look all we got here. So let's see exactly how many ingots worth we got out of this haul here. Okay, there we go. So we got 6, 12, 18, 20, and almost a 21st ingot out of just that vein. That is quite a good haul. That actually isn't the largest vein I've seen. I've seen them get quite a lot larger, but that was not a bad vein at all. I'm glad we found it. With that, we are in a very good position for the next episode when we are going to get into forging, and we're going to make an anvil, and we're also going to then use that anvil to forge several new tools that we can use and explore together. Now, I'm probably going to do a bit of casting. I'll make us an extra pickaxe, and I'll probably cast some of the other tools I didn't get to cast earlier, but we will have a few more odds and ends to look at the beginning of next episode, and then we'll get into the meat of things. In any case, that's going to do it for this episode of the Vintage Story Guide. I hope you enjoyed this exploration into the Copper Age for the first time in Season 3 of the guide, and I hope you're looking forward to more. The names you see scrolling by belong to the awesome people who are supporting the channel by signing on as channel members. If you too would like to see your name in the credits, get early access to videos, or possibly hear me butcher your name in the next part, then go check out what's on tap in the memberships. The following people have gone the extra mile to support the channel by signing on at the Seraph tier. Their names are Elizabeth Woolley, Inger Raymond, Joshua Saruda, Linda Harris, Lucky's Mom, Mad Lord Hubris, Operion, Oaktree, Servus, Snow Silver, Sue Wallace, Tyluna, and Wade Parker. As always, my name has been Kurazar. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.